Stephanie, and I'm here to do the mid-year bookish freakout tag. I love this tag. First of all, my filming schedule has been so erratic this year that I really haven't had the chance to sit down and really talk about books that I've loved or books that I've hated. So I love that this tag gives me a chance to do that and kind of give you a where I stand up to this point. So I love that. I will link the original video for this tag down below so you can go watch that. And here we go. Let's talk about the books I have opinions on. Number 1, best book of 2017. I read this book really early on in the year, but I felt like it just blew me away for how small it was. I felt like it packed a real serious punch. And this is Julian Barnes' Sense of an Ending. This book was just absolutely beautiful. It is about a man trying to revisit the memories in his childhood. And I know I say this a lot, but he's a self-aware, unreliable narrator. He knows that over time his memories may have changed or he may be remembering things wrong. There was a movie made. I don't want to see it because I feel like that defeats the purpose of it. You're given all these memory fragments, and I think half the fun of reading the book is trying to figure out what happened or what you think happened, given those fragmented memories. And it was just such a wonderful reading experience, and I absolutely loved it. Number 2, best sequel of 2017. The one I picked is technically third in a series, and I have read some Louise Penny's, but Louise Penny just to me does not stack up to Tana French. And this was like a lower rated Tana French. This so far has been my least favorite in the series. I enjoy Louise Penny, but I feel like in the end she writes kind of cozier things, and I feel like she's holding back things. I don't know, she's scared to get gritty. And Tana French, my girl, is not scared to get gritty. She is not scared to go there, and I just love reading the Dublin Murder Squad series. I love it, and I like Louise Penny, and I like Three Pines, and I like The Community, but it seems really like a chaste edginess. I don't know how to say. I just... I want more. I think that's just my issue with cozies. People are always getting poisoned. I don't know, Tana French is just dark and wonderful, and I love her. And like I said, this was my least favorite in the series so far, and I love it more than Louise Penny. So those are my thoughts on that. The next question is an anticipated release. Anticipated releases, I've really already read the books that I'm excited about. One that hasn't come out yet would be See What I Have Done, which was a Lizzie Borden story. It was really good. I think my only complaint about it was that the voice that they wrote Lizzie Borden's character in is really infantile. This is a book that took me down a Wikipedia rabbit hole. Historical fiction usually does. If it's interesting and it's something that just really piques my interest, I just go down the internet black hole of what really happened. And so of course, I was going through all this Lizzie Borden stuff, reading court transcripts, and I don't feel like that voice really matched who she was as a person. So I felt really an author choice to make her sound like this little girl, even though she was a woman, I think in her 30s. So it was interesting, but the writing was great. I felt like it really evoked the senses. I don't know, I really liked it. So if you are interested in picking that up, I think that comes out in August. I would really recommend it. And then the other book I was really excited about was Final Girls by Riley Sager. I talked about that in my previous video, Recent Reads. Definitely recommend it. Fantastic thriller, perfect for summer, A+ if you love horror. So do it. It's not a horror novel though, it's definitely a thriller, but it deals with horror elements, if that makes sense. Biggest disappointment, I'm gonna have to say Revival by Stephen King. And this is a disappointment not because I went into it with high expectations, but because my expectations as I was reading this book went up. I was very impressed with it. I really liked it. It was these solid characters and this great storytelling, and there was just so many layers to it, and this title that just had so many different meanings and just fit in so differently with all these characters and everything they were going through, and it was just this complex story. And then I read the final chapter, and I literally threw this book against a wall. I don't mean figuratively. I was so frustrated I threw this book. No, I physically chucked this book across the room because I hated it so freaking much. I felt like it just undid everything. It didn't technically undo everything, but I felt like it just undermined this beautiful story that I had just read, and I hated it. So I know a lot of people love this ending, so that's an unpopular opinion. But I freaking hated it. Biggest surprise. So these are surprises because I'm talking about two books, and they were surprises because they're not genres I usually reach for because I do get a little snobby sometimes. But I picked up Alice Hoffman's The Marriage of Opposites, and I really liked it. I didn't think I was gonna like it because it was really, like, it's kind of about the life of the painter Camille Pissarro, but it's really about his mom and his upbringing. The key is very much a secondary character in this book. His mother, Rachel, is definitely the more interesting character. Basically, where his mother came from, you know, she was a Jewish woman in St. Thomas, and talking about the big Jewish community that was there at the time. She and Camille Pissarro's father are basically this forbidden relationship because it's very complicated. But it was just such a beautiful romance and just very convincing. And you know, I don't like romance, but I was really, like, I really liked this book. I was a little nervous because I had read Faithful earlier this year, Alice Hoffman's book from last year, and I was not that impressed. I really didn't like it. It was very, like, easy contemporary, very forgettable, and I loved this book. So I bought Dovekeepers because I seem to think maybe Alice Hoffman does historical fiction pretty well. Let me know if there's any other good, like, Alice Hoffman books. Like, I liked Practical Magic. I know she wrote a prequel this year. I think it's The Rules of Magic. Definitely be picking that up. But yeah, that was a big surprise for me. The second book that kind of surprised me was Erotic Stories for Punjabi Widows, and this is by, I always forget this author name, Balli, Kaur, Jaswal. And it is about a girl who believes she's getting a job teaching, like, a writing workshop in this Sikh community in London, you know, a second generation, you know, Indian immigrant in England. And basically she goes into this class and finds that it's just a class of these widowed, you know, older women who are all widowed and are basically illiterate. It just really talks about ageism and sexism and how their whole lives they're basically been defined by their husband, and now that they're widowed they're basically, like, written off by society and ignored. And so it got dark. But the first part of it is really cute, just kind of these women having this platform to tell these really racy stories, the way that the main character interacts with them. Just so funny, talking about, you know, old age and sexuality and how we as a society really cringe at that. It reminded me a bit of Calendar Girls, and it does kind of switch gears because then it gets really dark because there is a mystery and kind of this conservative group of men that are looking to kind of be the morality police in this community, and basically, like, is this class in danger? So it's a little, you know, it gets a little dark, but I really loved the portions that took place in the classroom and getting to know these women and telling these just, like, crazy erotic stories. It was just really fun. And yeah, I was really surprised by how much I ended up liking this book. Favorite new author, debut or new to you? I'm going to say Ann Patchett. I read Commonwealth earlier this year and just absolutely loved it. If you watched my last video, you know that I picked up her debut novel, The Patron Saint of Liars. Was not so impressed. Did not love it. But her writing, even in that book I didn't love, was great. It propelled me to keep reading. I just really loved her writing, and I could definitely see the kind of writer she was going to become. Next books by her I'll pick up are probably either Bel Canto or State of Wonder, since those I think are her more popular ones after Commonwealth. But yeah, I was pretty impressed with her, even if her first book was a dud. So still going on with Ann Patchett. Favorite character. So earlier this year, I did a buddy read with Dan Martin over at Dan Martin Likes You, and I think my heart goes out to Teddy from A God in Ruin. And Teddy is also a secondary character in Kate Atkinson's other book, Life After Life. But this book just really deals with everything he went through in World War II, because this book basically just encompasses his whole life, serving in World War II, his childhood, and then his life after, and his children, and just, like, who he becomes and how that shapes him. And my heart went out to Teddy so much in this book. I just really loved him. So he's my favorite character of the year so far. A book that made you cry. I'm gonna have to say Tiny Beautiful Things by Cheryl Strayed. If you don't know, she wrote an advice column, and so this book is kind of a compilation of the people that sent in questions and like her advice to them. And I was listening to this at work and I started tearing up and I had to stop listening to it at work because that's really unprofessional. But it was really good, just really touching. Some of them just like ripped my heart out, like how crazy people's lives can be. So I would definitely recommend it. Really good. I don't agree with everything she suggested. I really enjoyed it. A book that made you happy. I'm gonna go with my same answer for like anticipated release. So Final Girls and See What I Have Done, those were books I was just really excited about, and I was still excited about them after I finished them. You know, they didn't disappoint me. So that's my answer for that. And then what are some books you want to finish in 2017? So 3 books I definitely want to get to before the end of the year are Anna Quindlen's Miller's Valley. This seems like kind of a family drama. I'm not sure if it's a saga, like if we follow multiple generations, but I know it definitely is a family drama. It's a beautiful cover, and it doesn't seem that long. Another book I want to finish, it's a little bigger, it's nonfiction, but is Dave Collins' Columbine. This is a book I've been wanting to read for a long time. I received it for Christmas. I want to get to it soon. And the next novel I want to read is because I heard rumors of an adaptation. Brian Fuller, who was the showrunner for Hannibal when it was on NBC and who recently did American Gods. And he just has this like really dark and beautiful style that I really enjoy. There are rumors that he wants to adapt Catherine Dunn's Geek Love, which seems like it would just be a perfect fit from what I know. I haven't read it, obviously. But it follows a kind of circus family, and I know the mom like exposes herself to chemicals in order to have deformed children, so their family can be a freak show of sorts. And then it follows these children and their deformities and how that affects their lives. Hillary at Your Robot Friend absolutely adores this book, and any endorsement from her is something I'm going to trust. So I am looking forward to reading this before the end of the year, definitely before that new adaptation, hopefully, comes out. But anyway, guys, that is the mid-year bookish freakout tag. I feel like I'm doing this a little late, like a little past the middle of the year. So if you want to do this tag and you haven't done it, I am tagging you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!